In this spring semester, they are the champions. They're the national champions. Akron's doing Akron things. Even though Northwood's coming along, still have to knock the king off the mountain. And got 4 series losses, and it's looking a little shaky. And you're thinking, okay, well, Seton Hall is actually a pretty up-and-coming team. Maybe they're going to get the win here. I was actually a little optimistic. I was thinking they might be able to take it. And then Akron just completely bulldozes through them. And a lot of it is just because Hall is panicking on transition. They're hitting the ball down the field. And I think if they fix that, they're a team that can do a lot of damage. You don't win 80% of your games within league play by playing quarterly all the time. It's just that when the pressure's on, you have to make sure you execute. And throwing the ball down the field, panicking on these infield passes, and just playing in a frantic manner isn't going to cut it, because you're playing against the best teams in the nation across the field, and you need to be able to consolidate possession, not throw things away. And I think sometimes teams struggle with that. If they can fix that, I think this is a fantastic matchup. If they don't, then you might be in for some trouble.
I mean, I definitely do agree. I mean, Seton Hall, definitely agree. I mean, Seton Hall, definitely a team that really wants to see them perform, and hopefully against a team so much momentum, really will just be gifted a really good series. But I mean, Thunder B, we're going to look at this, and before we get into predictions, I really want your opinion on whether or not, typical player highlights that we might see. Do you see any players that we should be watching out for on either of these squads, or perhaps, kind of strategies going in that both of these teams might want to implement?
I think it's interesting here because what Taco was talking about with having a little bit of disrespect to the very top teams, that's not going to be as much a factor here, because you have 2 teams that are both, I guess you could say, punching upwards a little bit in the position that they might be in this bracket. So I think you can throw that off the table. Both of them are going to come into this series really, really hot. So I think they need to come in with a mentality and an expectation that there's not really going to be that feeling out period at the beginning of a match here. They need to play quickly right away, because they're both equally hungry to be a team that comes from underneath and defies expectations. It makes for a great matchup, I will say.
I do agree. Of course, if you win this, you're in the winners' finals, and you have the chance of going against Akron or St. Clair. Even if you do lose that point, you are still making it, I believe, to losers' semis, if I remember, or still very high in the ranking. So you're still given a lot of opportunity to work. But before we get into our match, we're just waiting for the lobby to be set up. Guys, I got pounding for some predictions. Now, I don't want to get my predictions because, of course, we want odd number predictions. We want to be able to have a decisive yes count. So, Squid, let's start with you.
My first prediction is that you're going gonna give your prediction. That's my first prediction.
That was cool. Well,
Just gonna throw that one out there. You can't get out of this one. I'm not gonna let you get out of this. All right. Look. All right. You know, I'm gonna be just more controversial, right? You know, I'm gonna say even. Back that point up. I feel like this is gonna be the easy prediction of the night. All right. Sorry. I'm saying it. I don't even need Larry. I got Larry here just in case this does go completely south for me, which it probably will. But I'm gonna be honest. Stockton's gonna come out. They're gonna have a Mach 5 offense. I don't really feel that Seton Hall is going to give them a stand chance. What with it being one of their first times in one of these big spots, you know, it might be the pressure that forms the diamond, but I highly doubt it in this scenario. As Taco said earlier on, there have been a lot of times when we've seen them crack, and with Stockton being able to take down local food, that is just mountains of momentum. I cannot see it happen here to Seton Hall. I'll give it full.
well, mine will give my prediction at the end. Okay. Just relax, right? Okay. But Taco, let's go to you.
See, guys, they said peer pressure doesn't work or shouldn't work. It right there. We just completely bullied the prediction. It's flawless. We'd love to see. But what I would love to see is a very close series. I think if Seton Hall can tighten up all those issues, kind of those loose screws popping off the ship there against Akron, I think we'd see a nice series. However, I watched the replays of Stockton Wood. They're looking fierce. I think this is a team that is terrifying. And the fact that they've been qualified and no one in the summer series really has experience playing against them gives them that weird wild card feel to them, on top of the fact that just watching them in other competitions, they're incredibly fast. They're so decisive. And if Seton Hall does not bring it, they're going to go down. I don't know if Seton Hall really has that. I would love for them to prove me wrong, but at least in a long series, I'm going to give Seton Hall maybe a win, but really I don't see much more than that. I think Stockton takes it at least one.
All right, that is interesting analysis there. Thunder B, I mean, we have two Stockton picks so far. Are you going to break the mold here, or are you going to be a loser and just stick with
Wow. That's a pretty heavy accusation.
Wow. Thank you, Seb, for prefacing my pick with that. I love going into it that way.
We accept you in this household, right? Those of us who actually pick Stockton, we accept you.
Well, I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you say that's good, because on the desk, there's the temptation with each successive pick that goes the same way. You want to be that person that just says, you know what, I'm throwing caution to the wind, or whatever expression they use, and they just go the other way. I can resist that temptation. I'm going Stockton too. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than these other fine folks have called. I think it goes to 6 games, but I still see Stockton taking this one, and Seb, that puts even more pressure, happily, on you.
Well, pressure makes diamonds, and I like throwing caution to the wind, as if that hasn't thrown so many of my predictions in the past. I will go Seton Hall 4-1, and I think storylines suck, and Seton Hall is just going to roll through them, and then they're going to go to the winners finals where they lose to St. Clair, and then St. Clair's going to win the whole thing. So,
Of course, it's a random stuff and a Canadian prediction.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
So, Seton Hall 4-1 for me. But, I mean, guys, we are just about ready to get going with our first match of the day. I got a full pot of coffee here that I'm really ready to pour, because we have 6 matches ahead of us. With that, cast, please.
Thank you so much, Seb. And Thunder B, it's a blessing to be with you in this booth for this game, because we were looking at the bracket before today and we're thinking, wow, these are some fantastic matches. We get to start off the day. But it's also the fun part about Lamp is that these matchups keep going on. They're all fantastic. So really, everyone in the audience, everyone in the chat should get hyped, because you're about to see the top tier of the college carball, especially if you buy into the fact that East is the strongest it's ever been for collegiate play.
But that's evidenced by the fact that we're still seeing upsets this late. Even now, you're seeing teams that are making miraculous runs and getting through. So the competitiveness of the East is pretty obvious here. And to circle back to what Seb said for a minute, he said pressure makes diamonds, right? Is that an admittance of rank in the game? I felt like it was kind of disguised in there, is that he can't handle pressure that well, he can't get above diamond. But maybe we'll have to ask him about that later. But right now, there's vengeance, whether or not to talk about what we've got to work on diamond here between Stockton and Seton Hall pretty heavily weighted towards Stockton on the old desk. Not least of which is the game count. Nobody said it was going to go the distance here. And obviously, Rocket League fans all want to see it go that way. But I think you and I probably share in the fact that it's going to be up to Seton Hall to see that through.
Certainly will. You got 7 games potentially to pull this one out. Oh, they still got AC Life, but of course, you want to give up your first loss so early on in the playoff bracket. But we are underway with Stockton and Seton Hall. It's all about that midfield pressure, and I think we'll have to see if Game 1 is more of a feeling out game, or if it's just going to go guns a-blazing. We'll see what happens. Early shot, first out of the game from Top G, just a little bit roll right down the nose of Rose. Try and answer back with some long balls. And right now, both teams opting for a little bit more vertical play, just get it downfield, just trying to, I guess, really test out the defense so far, which is always a clean strategy, especially when you can get close shaves. Toad not quite able to wrangle around that shot.
Not quite. But you're right, they're testing, and they're poking and prodding here to see what might show up in the early stages of this match. And it's, at times, been a bit of a slow pace. The pace has died down in the corners and even in the middle of the field in front of the net. But no one has flinched quite yet. We're still scoreless out of the corner here. A bit of confusion, though, might result in a goal. That's a quick save having to be made. Shot placement a bit wanting on that one. This is still good control here in the corner for Stockton as they try to press just that little bit further. Top Cheese, an aerial attempt, has the break to work with and saved away by Tone. And you can feel the pace starting to pick up, although for Seton Hall, they need to respond in kind here.
Yeah, they're dealing with pressure pretty well so far. I would say I'm not disappointed by the effort we're seeing. I would like to see them get a little bit cleaner of clears, be able to gather some boosts most of the time. With the ball, you want to get upfield, you want to press the issue, but sometimes it's easier just to clear it, then get boosted up, then rejoin the attack. You can't just get too impulsive, and at least now, it looks like it's taking that advice, getting some double taps. However, Birdman going all the way back, so back and forth we go. So looking for that first goal. Giveaways like that could be an issue. However, Dark and Tone just getting a nice 50. That's going to go all the way back to down.
We've seen a few of those challenges go pretty heavily one way or the other. No punish is coming through quite yet. This is Seton Hall coming back the other way now along the sidewall. Top Cheese, more boost in that standoff. They've got a ground pinch to work with. Tone's got the save on that one. Again, that's more than a couple, or at least one save. Yes, it is 2 for Tone on a couple of clutch plays here. Keep Seton Hall very close in this one in the early stages. Past the halfway mark now. Musty off the side wall for Top Cheese. Might set up an opportunity for Bus off the back wall. Another chance. Dark tries to tap down. That is on target. And again, this is Seton Hall making a lot of saves. This is not a tough style of gameplay that they want to get stuck in for much longer, I would imagine.
But they are holding with it, and that's really all that matters. All it takes is one moment of brilliance to break through, to break this deadlock. Maybe Stokely in the middle can provide it, but will be cut out. The response by Stokely off the backboard, froze up for it. Bussy doesn't have it, but it's on to the far post, just wide. Seton Hall with a fairly strong offensive performance. They might be pressed back in their half, but they are not helpless. They are still pressing the issue and getting shots on, and now a goal in the net opener of game number 1 going to Seton Hall.
And there it is, Taco, you called it. It just took the right moment for Seton Hall to dive on their opportunities. They played a lot of defense and bided their time. And all of a sudden, they strike to make it 1-0. The first goal of the series going here the way of Seton Hall. We'll see now if Stockton have got a response to that aggression. They've got to play some defense first out of the corner here, though, as Top Cheese is challenged by Stokely on that side wall. Rose keeping the pressure nearby off the side. Can't find that extra touch, though. Had to bail on that play, and leaves Dark coming back the other way. Stokely, back wall. Red by Bussy, taps into the mid. Top Cheese, shot near net. Do they have the double? Oh boy, do they ever. That is as clean as they get, and Top Cheese is going to tie the game.
Bussy and Dark are both incredibly good players, and Top Cheese, even then, still stands out as that front man striker, and that's why they don't need a lot of space. They just need one open shot, and they can make it go all the way in. And it's just such a danger for Seton Hall to cover. You already have a talented squad with any player who can do stuff like that at a moment's notice. So, of course, now they got their lead, but they have to realize now, as if they didn't already, that no lead is safe in a series like this.
And to do it at pace, that's the thing I think that's the most threatening here to Seton Hall, is that they're not offering much in terms of space, I wouldn't say. but it's clear that it's not going to take much for a player like Top Cheese to throw in a dagger like that and dash their hopes of maintaining a lead in this game. Seton Hall, time to work with, as do Stockton. 40 seconds on the clock here in game one of this winners semifinal. A shot on target, straight at Top Cheese, who gets demoed, but does make the save. Tone to the mid. It's a nice possession out of the zone dart. Keeping the pressure off for a moment here. Now, getting close to 20 seconds of Rocket League remaining and the potential for an overtime to start our stream today.
And Stockton's going to get called into action last second. Top Cheese, no touch, so Dark takes over there, dribble. No one pressures. That's the flip reset. They don't get to use it. Good challenge by Tone. Stokely can't extend. Froze will throw it down the line. Tone tries again, and another miss, just barely missing on some of these connections. Oh, the ideas are there. Maybe not the execution. Speaking of, Stockton defense, that was the calamitous decision right there to put it into their post, but we will be reaching overtime to separate these two teams in game number one.
There was a moment, Taco, just a brief moment where you thought there was the potential for a cataclysmic event at the end of that game, but we are going to see extra time here. And Dark, I'm sure more than anyone, are thankful for that. This defensive end here now for Stockton and Cassie, carries it out of the zone. Pressure is held on there. Stokely fires one across the goal mouth. And that could have been the shot that could have iced game one here instead. We're going to extend just a little bit longer. Still with Stockton playing defense. And still with Seton Hall looking for those infield passing plays. Of the two teams, we've seen a lot of feeds, or at least looks at feeds like that coming their way. And it's a matter of time before they connect on one and finish this game off.
I think this is the best I've seen in Seton Hall in a bit. I was really worried last time I saw him out, but this is a lot of the issues that I was worried about are not necessarily seeing. Granted, they're giving up some shots that would like a little bit cleaner pressure, but ultimately they're executing, and that might pay off if they can get one of these shots to go. They've got a couple barely glance line or tap off the woodwork. Certainly something that Stockton has to be aware of, but of course, you can't give them space either. Dark middle, big shot, and that is the way this one wraps up.
Oh, it was a little bit quiet as an ending just because of how much time Dark had to work with on that ball. They took a glance around, admired the scenery, and still had time to tap that shot home. So Stockton are going to steal one away here in game one. Fantastic effort by Seton Hall, though. And as I throw my shades back on here, I think this series has all the makings after game one of being pretty spicy, I will say.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I would want out of a game number one. It's always so deflating when you're saying, well, yeah, this is going to be a good series, but ultimately this team's got it. It's going to be pretty straightforward. And then it's a blowout, and you're like, all right, well, I guess we're on par for that. But no, Seton came out strong, and granted, game number one, you could argue, well, Stockton did have a lot of shots in that game. They had 12 within that 5 minutes in that overtime. So Seton still has to fix that a little bit, but we're definitely not just holding on barely and getting a scrap or goal. They earned it, they got some pressure, and most importantly, they felt like Stockton actually had to respect their offensive opportunities. It shows this team is cohesive enough that they can get it to go. It just comes down to sometimes getting beat by just that half second. That was how that overtime was decided, but going into game number two, it's going to be really important for Seton Hall to make sure they keep up this pace. Do not let Stockton back in, and of course, you do not want to give them those tiny 50-50s, because ultimately, that's what a game could come down to.
And that's the danger here for Seton Hall, of course, is that, as you say, they were solidly positioned on the field, pretty aggressive and not recoiling or receding from a Stockton team that might be favored here. And to connect on these infield passing plays that they're looking for, they need that second link in the chain to be aggressive in the midfield and to be a target person, because if they start playing passive, there's going to be nobody to receive those passes, and they're going to get counterattacked. So you hope here, as you said, confidence needs to stay up for Seton Hall. They are very much in this series despite dropping game one.
That's not going to help though. Stokely, a little bit of a giveaway. The Dark, a lot of power on the placement. Tone equal to it. Will continue with a flick. The Top Cheese and company will try to gather down. The 50s in the midfield, but these longer balls hitting off the backboard. Certainly a strategy to keep up, but of course, curious about how the slow play will kick in. And of course, Top Cheese right on target. We'll be able to dribble past two, but not much more. Froze will clear that one down, so we will keep on going in game number two, but the pace is definitely not shortened up here. It is still very much breakneck, and it's coming down to some mistakes here. Tone, a little bit of potential to poke one through, but unfortunately for them, that ball going to get kicked out right back to Stokely, and a wonderful goal line save by Stockton to keep him in it.
What a look there for Seton Hall. That was a lightning quick connection on that passing play. And an even better save, as you said, to read that play and keep it out of the net. Stockton now the ones standing up on defense here as the roles have reversed compared to what we saw at the outset of Game 1. Top cheese. Time goal scorer for Stockton in Game 1 has the ball is possessed by Stokely. The shot steered away by Dark to the far side, who now has a savior already pretty early in this game. Now they're going to carry Musty up the sidewall. Not a lot of power on that, but the shot still does come through from top cheese. Bussy finally is going to be hitting that one wide. A little bit of shot accuracy plaguing both teams, I would say, here early.
I would say that was a golden opportunity. There was no obstruction. That was an open shot. Let's got to put those in. Be back to haunt them if you struggle to score down the line, especially if Seton Hall gets another game in which they will take the first goal. But we're approaching halftime, and it doesn't seem like either team is going to break through anytime. Assuming the defense is really strong so far, but ultimately all it takes is just one little mistake. Maybe that could be it. No one on that one. Bussy pressing the issue again off the backboard. Stokely long clear though. Dark will be able to gather in their own corner, and I'm very curious to see. We haven't really seen any demo play come through. Sometimes you can't break past the defense. It might just be easier to go through.
Well, that might be the X factor here, because there's been a directness to the approaches of both these offenses in the way that they're shooting, where they're just trying to fire on net and see if any opportunity will open itself up. And if you throw a demo into that mix, you're definitely going to find success. So it remains to be seen whether that's undertaken by either of these teams. Right now, though, 2 minutes on the clock in Game 2 with a goal yet to be scored. This is a long stretch of a goal drought here that's going to be broken eventually. The question is when and by who, because now that we're approaching a minute and a half, it could very well be silver into golden goal territory here for Game 2 of this best of 7 in the middle of the field. Bussy fires downfield. In a long stretch here, just jockeying for position on the field. Stokely is going to tap. Got to find Tone in the back. Dark picks that up. Top cheese. It's a little bit farther forward. Stokely with the opportunity to throw back, and we'll see what Froze can do here. Beaten out by Bussy. The long clear is certainly not the recipe, I don't think, for either team, but that's a big open opportunity. The pass comes out from the side. Top cheese there to receive and take the lead.
Stokely trying to get a little too cute with this one, so catching it, bringing it back, or letting a teammate come through, tries to cut it upfield. Unfortunately, Stockton's right there to meet it and gets pushed out to the midfield. But to have the vision to pick out top cheese and getting great communication, stuff like that, makes all the difference. 1-0, almost 2. Going to Stockton here in this New Jersey derby, as both these squads actually jockeying for, in a way, kind of bragging rights within their state. And certainly this is a banger matchup as we had hoped. 1-0, really all Stockton can really muster up right now, but we'll see if there's time for Seton Hall to get back in it. Gonna be quite the tall effort, especially when Dark is hitting them with precision like that.
Well, we demanded shot accuracy a little bit earlier in this game. That call has been thoroughly answered by that shot. It really doesn't get all that much better than that. And that is a hammer of a shot for an insurance goal here for Stockton. They look well poised now with that one. Try and take a 2-0 lead in this series and put to bed any prediction wrenches that were trying to be thrown in the works by Seb on the desk. It looks pretty comfortably in their territory right now, although Seton Hall a chance, big advantage here. The boat plays do finally come through, nicely avoided though by Dark, who staves off that attack and makes the save here to keep Stockton up 2.
The Froze will try to close in on it, but Top Cheese able to hit it to the side. Dark the backboard. Top cheese up for it. Almost gets a dunk down. Dark actually might have a dish. Not able to get through. And now, if it was a little bit more back and forth, it seems like Stockton is getting comfortable. Try to dictate that pace. And right now, it just seems like Seton Hall is just trying to chuck it upfield, hope for something, because this game is over now. Stockton able to close out game number 2, taking that 2-0 series lead. And this is where Seton Hall, I think, really needs to turn it up on the mental side. You're kept it close. It's still not enough. Can you remain strong? Have that mental fortitude to fight through this adversity and come back in the series.
And it looked, if only slightly, it did look a bit more worrisome in that game for Seton Hall than it did in game 1. And certainly you might be able to chalk that up to the fact that teams have their own paces of getting introduced and up to pace in a match. And this was Stockton here playing even a little bit better than they did in the first one. Seton Hall's got to find that extra gear as well because they're slowly running out of opportunities to make this a realistic series win. Being down 2-0, this is a huge transitional point in the series where one way it gets really, really out of reach and the other way they can keep this thing competitive. But like you said, mentally, it's crushing for them already to have dropped 2, and they need to push back here in this moment because I would imagine Stockton playing the way that they are, they're going to close down that vice grip if they take a third game and just make this an extremely short series.
And it's tough, and of course, you have to have a very short-term memory when you play in these series. And I think a lot of this comes down to, or at least what I would like to see from the Seton Hall, is closing out those shot opportunities and making sure you're not giving any touches out in the midfield. I think really the turning point in that game was when the ball was in midfield and Seton Hall took a kind of unnecessarily risky touch. It got capitalized on, and they got scored on. It's stuff like that they can't be given up. They're not necessarily free goals, but of course, you want to provide as much resistance to the offense as possible when you're trying to defend against a team like Stockton. Right off the bat, they're going to have to provide that resistance. Great mechanics by Stokely to suspend that one out of reach and push that one into the corner.
What a play there from Stokely. It's one thing to make an air dribble like that when you're just trying to squeak a goal in, but to do it under immense pressure from players storming in and trying to upset what you're doing, that takes a calm, collected player right there, and that's exactly what Stokely and company are going to need in this series going forward. And right now, it's going to be Stockton pressing forward in the hands of Top Cheese into the corner. Going to have to make an awkward recovery there as they get bumped off of the ball. Bussy across. Dark thinks better of that one, circles and allows it back for Top Cheese, who looked uncomfortable as well. What does Seton Hall have back the other way? Tone, a weak touch, gets handed straight over to Dark as they go for a ground level musty to try and flick over top. And if that's not a signifier of some confidence on the field for Stockton, I don't know what is.
No, but there's a lot of confidence being shown on both sides of the ball. Nice infield passes will continue. Stark will try to slow this one down, but Tone will cut it out. Stokely wide open shot. You don't want to give him that space. Top Cheese barely getting away with that one. Now right down to Tone, met by Dark. Stokely up for this one. Bussy equal to it. And a bouncer still just sitting in the goal mouth for Stockton. Trying to play some cautious touches, not to give up anything, and they do it well. It seems like they have survived that foray as Dark will be able to have plenty of time and a flick to get it out. I love the pressure. I love the immediacy of the challenge. It just seems like they're one player short on those rotations through. Can't get that final touch for the goal, but we're still playing 2 minutes in. It's still 0-0.
You know, at the very least, Seton Hall are racking up parking tickets that Stockton are going to have to pay for spending time on that back wall. Top Cheese was up there for an eternity waiting for that play to finally get to them, whether they could make a touch on the ball. There's nothing truly threatening in terms of coming close to crossing that goal line yet for Seton Hall. Although, as I say that, Stokely might turn on this. They do get a tap mid. Froze hesitates for a second, and that actually undoes the defense there. They do find a way to get through.
I feel like there's a misconception, I feel like, on offense sometimes where every single pass has to be laser focused and you have to have a fantastic rotation. Sometimes you just get an awkward ball. Stokely gets on that near post out of the blind spot, or really the vision field of all those players in Stockton, gets a pinch in the middle, and beats 2 defenders. That's all you need. But now, all you need is defense. 1-0 lead. We know how close these games have been, and go really all they need to be able to take home a victory. But tall order, as Stockton has shown, they can really strike back at a moment's notice this time and have to keep waiting. So I'm curious to see if Seton Hall keeps up this pressure. I would love for them to keep aggressing. I absolutely hate it when teams get that lead and they play that prevent style, very cautious defense. Doesn't seem to work out for them. And I think right now, the way they're playing, keep this confidence rolling.
They do have, exactly as you say, a good stranglehold on the game as it stands right now. They need to press that advantage here. Dark on the flip reset is only going to get as far as the first Seton Hall player. Now the challenge at the mid goes slightly in the way of Bussy, and it gets left over to Tone. Solid boost to work with. Might have enough for an extra touch. The 50, though, inches out to the corner. Top Cheese bumped off of the play. Seton Hall getting a little more aggressive here. No player who can strike on that. They're going to have to wait a while. Tone up. Goes down low instead. Bussy reads that play as well. But the repeated efforts here from Seton Hall, they're getting so many looks at offensive plays consecutively, and little by little it's breaking down the boost rotations of Stockton to the point where you think something might crumble.
Stockton, a team that ran 12 shots in prior games, now only only has 3. In fact, they're being outshot by Seton Hall and stuff like that. The backboard reads that are making all the difference. The pressure continues to pay off. Seton Hall up by 2.
There it is, Bussy. Oh, last minute really knows they don't have a good look at that ball. Top cheese underneath. Might have been low boost, might not. But regardless, that is a huge goal. It's exactly what we demanded here of Seton Hall to get themselves on top by not just 1, but 2. And look at the efforts on the ball here now as their confidence continues to burgeon on the field. Back the other way, Dark. 50-50. Froze actually the one who gets demoed on that. Dark credited with a shot as well. It got steered away from the net. Top cheese, a chance to shoot. Oh, Tone quickly removes that opportunity. What a disrespectful bump. To bump the passer instead of the recipient, you don't see quite as often, but it's just as effective.
I don't think the stream could really catch that, but in that play, Bussy blocked that lead defender, and then not only did Seton Hall not get phased by it, but 2 different players for Stockton in the midfield were bumped by retreating Seton Hall players. I was talking about the physical game when it would rear its head. It seems like it always comes up in high-level series, and it's especially coming out now. A lot of frustration, I'm sure, on the side of Stockton, but right now this is just bullying by Seton Hall trying to keep this lead, and they're doing well so far. Even cutting out these passes, Stokely will yet again do that. And they're looking for a clean sheet here. They got to last that final 5 seconds. Dark throws one forward in desperation. Top cheese, another little bit of lob. Stockton trying to get something to go for the road, but they will not gift it even that. Seton Hall, a great response in game number 3, and now we got a little bit of a series.
Oh boy, a crucial win here for Seton Hall, and not only a win, but as convincing as was the win the other way in the previous game for Stockton. I think that's what's most important here for Seton Hall. I don't think they're going to feel like they just stole a game here. They dominated a game for long stretches there, and they kept a clean sheet, as you said. So this is more than just a win by a hair. It's a statement that Seton Hall are ready to play in this series. And being down 2-1, I got to say, I think the predictions are hanging by a thread now that you guys have made for the 4-1 scoreline at least, because it can't really go any better for Seton or else those hopes are dashed.
It's all about consistency. I mean, it's great to have that game 3. It gets you back into the game. You're high-fiving maybe virtually your teammates if you're not actually within like a LAN environment or within your facility at your college. But if you have the win like this, now it's important to say, okay, that's all well and good, but could just be an off game by Stockton. Bring the same tempo and keep that pressure. I was shocked by how many times Seton Hall would just throw someone in on a ball. They do not need to challenge just to keep pressure. As long as you make those 50s and make that contact, it's a great strategy, but it could come back to bite him. And right off the kickoff, almost he froze strike. Stokely, though, will hit the woodwork. And I guess Seton Hall has gotten the memo. They are not looking to slow down anytime soon.
Not in the slightest. Those were 2 very close, literally about as close as you get, chances on the net. And Stockton have got to answer back the other way. The half volley clear straight out to Stokely, the target player, a little bit downfield there. Now Tone alone in the back end, hands one off to Dark, who's got limited boost. They do still hand a pass off. The shot placement a little lacking there. It's given straight to Froze, who was waiting on that goal line to make a save, and they try to break out of the zone. Top cheese, quick half volley out of the corner to try and keep the pressure on for a moment. Dark beaten very handily to that ball, and the rotation on the back end not ready for such a clean win. That's a lead again for Seton Hall.
Trust is such an important thing in this game. The problem is a team like Stockton, when everyone is such an elite player, high level, ranked, six-mans, what have you, you have to understand that, hey, when I got it, you got it, and you retreat out. The issue is, once that teammate gets beat, you can leave a lot of gaps in the midfield. That's a roller wide open, and so they're trying to create their own gap on offense to answer. But even then, Seton Hall equal to the bump play, so might have given up that goal, but at least we're still looking for some bump play, still very much in it. But again, Seton Hall getting that first goal of the game.
And at 3:47 of this game here, Seton Hall, they want to be convincing everybody that they're going to be tying this series up in just a few minutes' time. And meanwhile, Stockton slowly here are trying to press their advantage into the zone. Bussy is going to be next on the ball, but that's a significant challenge. Win there by Froze gives Tone the opportunity to shoot. It's saved away there. Bussy on the sidewall, limited boost is going to have to peel on that play. It allows a big time clear from Froze here off the back wall. They get a fortuitous bounce as well. Tone, the shot goes for the bounce shot far side there as the chance comes back on the net again. Bussy forced to make a save off of the post. And Seton Hall, the siege begins again for them here, but the counterattack opportunity wide open. What a connection on the sidewall to Dark.
That's what I was a bit worried about. Stockton had a shot and then immediately went for a demo. They got that shot saved, and then they kept the pressure going. The issue is, then Tone slaps on the backboard. Top Cheese reads it, finds the outlet player, and that's all it takes for a counterattack. Quick as you like, Stockton's right back in it, and that's why you have to be so careful with aggression. Sometimes you get a little bit too far forward, and then even just a slight lob on target is all it takes to get scored on.
And I was surprised in the last game, given what we had seen so far and how little Stockton were willing to relinquish ground in these games. In the series, I was surprised to see Seton Hall shut them out in the previous one. That all ends here. And this is now Stockton, who look pretty possessed. Oh, do they ever? It's going to be Dark with a sharp, razor-sharp angle double tap here. And they're doing their best Top Cheese impression by having the individual outplay put them ahead in this game.
It's a terrifying thing about playing teams like this. The skill level is so high that you get a double tap, you're like, all right, well, I'm not on that, but he's going to have to nail that angle. And then, what do you know? Dark hits it in, perfectly placed, and he's looking for more. The flip reset, but it's going to get denied by Froze. But then on the counter, he's able to at least force Gussie into a little bit of a challenge, but Seton Hall has lost their lead now right at the stroke of halftime. Here's to see how they'll answer. They've done so well to get back in this series, but it doesn't mean anything if they just can't close out these tight gaps and they fall behind.
Top Cheese out of the zone here with Stockton in the lead now. Trying to get that ever important insurance goal. And out of the corner, this is Seton Hall. Froze. The carry doesn't work out of the corner. That's handed away. Top Cheese, a fantastic challenge to stop that out. Stokely flicks over one on the side wall, maybe over two. Gussie barely getting a piece of that. Tone fishing for a double tap off the wall, answered by Dark. They know, as well as anybody, as evidenced by the goal they scored, that the double tap threat is always going to be there. And they stop that one out. 2-1 still here with game time winding down. And Stockton look more and more comfortable by the minute.
Stokely giving a little bit of a dribble. Flip past one, but not past Dark. Stratified defense there by Stockton. And it will have to keep up through the midfield. Stokely, another opportunity, bit wide. Top Cheese respects it. A lot of touches off the backboard. The squishy save by Dark. Highlight reel specialist for Stockton keeps him in the lead.
How many times are we going to say that name this game? Dark, not just on offense, they're doing it on defense as well. That in and out save was sick. There is no doubt about it. And I think Seton Hall thought they had a goal there. Locked up. It was stolen away from them, and they're continuing to make saves. Dark grabs another one on the goal line here. The save tally for Dark at 5. They're not going to get the double save here, though, as Tone's going to find the tying goal here on a mistake out of the corner.
You have a lot of options advancing up the field. You can try to go to the sideline, you can try to take a 50, you can try to pass inside, and sometimes you want to try to get a flick. The issue is you've completely relinquished control over the ball. You're essentially freeing it up for a potentially uncontested hit, and that's exactly what happens there. Tone just crashes that read, gets as high as possible, and angles his car to perfection for an open net deflection. Now with a second goal, they're right back in it. Might be looking for more. Simply on the double tap off the ceiling, can't find it. Froze keeps it alive. It's a roller in the middle. Top Cheese racing for it, and Tone continues with this aggression. I love how they're just crashing that. Whenever they see it opening, they're looking to try to plug that hole with a challenge, and it's working out so well so far. They just have to make sure they do the same on defense. Can't get the touch, and an open shot from Dark will be able to avenge that goal number 2.
Power placement again from Dark. We saw this in a previous game. Come through clutch for Stockton. It does again here in the dying moments of this game, and it leaves 18 seconds for Seton Hall to come up with something pretty magical here and see what the late stages might hold for us in Game 4 of this series. Stockton looking to go up 3-1 and get themselves on match point in the first of our winter semis. There's a chance, though, here for Seton Hall. Well challenged by Dark. It's been a star performer. Now it's going to have to happen on 0-second time. Gussie, the touch, not quite going to be enough. It's kept aloft here. Stokely challenged, and that's going to drop down. For a moment, they tried, but Seton Hall were not able to do it here. And what resilience by Stockton to come back in that game and take it.
It's just so tough from Seton Hall is that I absolutely love how strong they are playing throughout the midfield. And Tone is playing like a mad madman on offense, challenging everything, getting good 50s. But the issue is it shows that even with all that good play, all that good fortune you're racking up and the pressure you're putting on, it just takes one mistake to do everything. 12 shots for Seton Hall, out shooting Stockton by 4. It's a good start, then one backcourt lead right at the dying seconds of regulation. That's what provides the loss. So at the end of the day, even with all that pressure, you have to be hyper-focused because the margin for error here is very small. You can't get away with a lot of mistakes here. And I think that game is probably the quintessential example of that. You even get charged, come back even after some adversity, and then you still fail because you can't clean up all the spots. So now, match point, Stockton, very dangerous team already, but now they got a full head of steam. They're looking to close this series out.
They are, and like you said, they are very happy to be punishing mistakes in this series, and it's going to demand spotless, airtight Rocket League from Seton Hall, and that is not a position you want to find yourself in. You always want creative license on the field to feel like you can experiment a little bit and try to break through the defense. Those opportunities are going to be few and far between now for Seton Hall. You just hope that they keep up the aggressiveness that you have been lauding so far in this series. And in the opening stages here of this game, they've got a little stretch of offense, I think, to be played here. Stokely, a shot. No, it's off the post, actually. Top Cheese gets challenged, though. Bussy, now the one to break out of the zone, trucks that player at the midfield line on the challenge. But Stokely taps back in for a moment. They look for the target man across field. Deuce Stockton, 4 minutes and 15 seconds now. 45 seconds of Rocket League played here on Salty Shores. And Seton Hall here, the sense of urgency, I think, is showing up early in this game. But it's such a fine line, Taco, between playing that way and, as you said, opening yourself up to mistakes that are going to get punished.
I think it's a good thing that they keep the pace going. I'm not really opposed to it as long as you can just get consistent clears and not overcommit when you really are pressing a really high risk, low reward situation. I think they're fine. I think they definitely have the skill to hang in this game. It's just about minimizing those mistakes. That's really what Stockton's been eating up at the end of the day. I haven't seen too many passing plays. Mostly just awkward touches and occasionally, nice double tap, but it's mostly just taking advantage of those slight gaps in the back. For example, Top Cheese found an open space, no one home in the backfield, that's 1-0.
And Top Cheese wanted that one very early. It was the timing that got them that play because there was a diving player from Seton Hall coming across to stop out that opportunity. But it was just a microsecond early enough on that touch to be able to find it into the net. And it's a lead here for Stockton. Could potentially be series goal here. You highly doubt it's going to stay at 1-0 if this previous games in the series have been any indication. But again, Stockton looking for that negative angle redirect. That time it's ringed off of the back wall. And here comes Seton Hall out of the zone. Very strong challenge there from Top Cheese, who puts it closer to target, just off the crossbar there. The demo comes through as well. Long clear. Going to give a moment of relief here for Seton Hall as they try to press back the other way. Froze off the back wall. Shot attempt from Stokely, saved away. Stokely, bit of a mix-up, a wire crossing event there for Seton Hall. They do get it unscathed, though, and no counterattack comes through right away.
But Bone will try to continue with these hits. Stokely trying to bring the pace and trying to, I think, lead the charge in a way on Seton Hall's offense. Just getting cut out in the midfield. A combination might be required. Froze, though, a fine recipient on that pass. Another challenge out of midfield. A little bit of deflection. Dark up for it into the corner. Has another touch. Can't extend this one. Bussy into the corner. Tone, high lob. Stokely, they're up for it. Froze is lurking behind it, but they just can't quite get a pass to them. Another ball will take a lap around Stockton's defense. They're starting to run low on boost. I'd have to assume Tone's going to have a lot of time with this one. Taps it down to Froze, but even that pass just a little bit wider than they're looking for. The ideas are there, just not the execution. 2-minute drill really starting to kick in now for Seton Hall. They need to get another goal or their series is over.
And meanwhile, back the other way, Top Cheese is looking for a double tap. Dark waits and shoots late on that one. Saved away by Stokely, who taps off the sidewall, tries to get it out of the zone, but Bussy keeps it straight back in. Top Cheese, a big dunk there. This could be trouble. And we'll boost on the back end here now for Seton Hall as Stockton trying to find goal number 2 here. Bussy with the speed, tap down. Top Cheese dives in for the shot, and it's saved away by Tone. Top Cheese looking for more touches on a cheeky negative angle, and that one's not going to work either. And Seton Hall you now see when they're breaking out of their zone, the resources are becoming pretty limited. They don't have a lot to press the other way once they finally get that clear.
No, but they're at least doing their job. They're pushing the ball forward. It's just that these passes, it's almost like they're called out and then they're just hit off target from where they actually intended it to go. And now, just a little bit of giveaways. Stockton's almost rotating deeply because they know as the ball is getting antsy. They know this ball is going to get thrown to them. I'd like to see a little more combination play until it's too late, especially if Stockton can get another one. That one's deflected out, so Froze, it's a little bit of time to gain this one, but we'll be met with a 50. Bussy, can they put a stamp on this one? Denied again, Froze to the corner, and Stokely will be able to extend this one out. A little bit of a bait now into the air dribble, but unfortunately they can't find Tone in the middle. Another clear going down, and that one might be the dagger.
The long bomb here from Bussy off the side wall. Pretty unassuming goal compared to some that we've seen from Stockton, but as potent as any of them as they fire that one home to get insurance with 33 seconds to play. And now there are two things hanging in the balance here. Far less important is the health of my prediction that I made for the series being a 4-2, and more important, if you're a fan of Seton Hall here, their lives in the upper edge, the upper bracket of this playoff on the line, and they've got to make something happen quickly. The challenges continue to come through. Wide open pastures back the other way. It's going to be 3. And Stockton just sealed things. They're going to be moving into the next round of this playoff bracket with that third goal.
And that's just a classic clunker goal. You're trying to press forward. You're all strapped for boost. You're rotating wide just to cover all the possible angles. And then you get scored on a counter. Not much you can do about this. But Seton Hall, do not hang your heads about this. This is one of the best teams in this entire bracket. Obviously taken down number 1 in the East for league play, Northwood Blue. So no shame in that. And in fact, I'm very excited to see what they do in that lower bracket. I don't think this is the last we'll be seeing by far of Seton Hall. But for right now, the main men on the stage are Stockton taking the New Jersey Derby and moving on here in our upper bracket for the Eastern Conference playoffs.
And their run continues, a fantastic run so far. It remains unbroken here as we slowly wrap up this series and get all the fine gents back on the desk here to join us, Taco. And as we bring the others slowly in here, I think it's pretty interesting to me. I guess I'll throw to Squid here, the resident analyst on the desk. It's interesting to me that this series didn't get predicted correctly by me or Seb. I thought we were supposed to be the experts here. Actually, that's not true at all. It's you guys. You two were always going to be right on this one, and you were precise on that prediction. So now is the time to take the victory lap. Gives yourself the pat on the back.
Well, if Taco was here, I would give him a fist bump. I can't really do that. I mean, there's so much to talk about and break down during this game, right? And I think I'll let Seb guide the conversation for the most part. I don't know if you guys can see it in a bunch of my glasses, though. I have, like, a whole page worth of notes here from that game. So I'm not going to be able to cover all the points that I want. I'm going to have to, like, put it into an aggregate, like, mission statement for what Seton Hall needs to change moving into the lower bracket, because a lot of it is actually positive feedback. And for Stockton on the other end, right, you know, they've secured the top 4 spot. But there were some shaky points, you know. It certainly didn't seem like the Stockton that Northwood blew down 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, Squid, don't worry. We'll give you your time to write your dissertation during the break that we'll take later, and you can just write a 500, like a 2,000, whatever page essay that, you know, you can present to us, and you can give it in as homework, okay? But, no, I do agree. I mean, as far as Stockton goes, I mean, man, it was just so fun to watch them. You could just see so much creativity in their offense, just how Top Cheese was able to get so many nice shots, and Bus was just putting up so many phenomenal opportunities for his teammates. It was just great to watch. It was very fun to watch. And even though you could see Seton Hall were doing their best to really kind of get into the series, they did take a game. One thing I do want to note is I did get the series score correct. It was 4-1, but it was for Stockton, not Seton Hall. So you take the dub that you get, you know what I mean? But I mean, overall, it was a pretty fun series. And Taco, I think you could agree. Like it was generally a pretty fun series to watch. And now, I mean, we're gonna see Stockton go against either Akron or St. Clair. So I mean, how do you feel about their chances with the rest of this bracket.
It was a weird series because I got my prediction correct, but not in the way that I would have been satisfied with because it was a completely different avenue. I was really thinking, well, this is going to be Stockton's game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but it'll be pretty clean. They had to fight for a lot of those games. There's really only one game in which I felt like they were really just kind of running away with it, and it was a little bit more of a momentum play. Since Game 5, we had a little clunker goals near the end, but Seton Hall played well. I love to see it. In regards to Stockton, this is a team that can go very deep. I think that they have the skill level required. They're challenging quickly. The offense, the threat is always there. And I just love how quickly they transition. They seem like they always find each other on passing plays, which is really what I think great teams are all about. Not only are they just clearing it downfield, but they're clearing it into a teammate. They're clearing it to open space they can chase. It seems like it's a very intelligent, well-built mechanical team. And I think a team like that can do a lot of damage, especially coming out of Open Circuit and showing like, hey, we might not have been in league play, but we're of course going to be threats in the East. And if anything, if this is just really the prelude to the fall semester of CRL, I think that Stockton has a lot of room to make a name for itself, to become a scary entity in the East.
They definitely have been delivering some fantastic games in Thunder B. I mean, we're going to be going on to our next match shortly, but I mean, before we get into that, I mean, with this match, there were so many kind of highlights I think that you could pull. And do you have your own personal MVP of this match?
I think as the series wore farther and farther along. Oh, whoa! There's a hand up. There's a hand up.
I know.
For Squid. So he thinks either that he knows what I'm going to say or that he's going to contend against what I say. But I really enjoyed the play of Dark as the series went along farther and farther.
Please, Squid. Yes, we get
Squid.
it. Teacher's pet. Go ahead.
Prove me wrong. Prove me right. What's the play here? Clearly, you're not going to let me finish.
I'm 100%. No, I'm 100% on board. I'm gonna let you finish. Yeah, I got nothing to say.
Well, he finished. All right. Well, great.
All right.
As long as you agree with me, I'm perfectly okay.
Yeah, I set up the meme for you. You knocked it out of the park, so we got that one finished. And yeah, I think it was Dark. I mean, it's easy to call out a player who makes a sharp angle double tap like they did in that game. But if you watched closely to the plays, the variety of clutch plays that they were making in that game, it was not just the double tap. It was the in and out save to keep their hopes alive of winning that game. It was huge challenges at the midfield line. And with each successive game, they just seemed more and more engaged and shutting down what Seton Hall were doing, and I loved every minute of it.
All right, Squid, please tell me what you were going to say. Who is your MVP?
Oh, no, it was definitely Dark. You know, Thunderbee said it, better than I could say it, honestly. Well, and maybe not better, but I'll let him have this one. Well, I think that's kind of an unfair comparison, though, because I was able to sit here on the sidelines, right, and watch the entire game as it played forward. And I think that you make an excellent point, Thunder, right? It was mostly the plays that you don't get praised for, right? Dark did have that one amazing double tap, which is something you rarely see even at this level, right? Oftentimes that backboard is well defended. Oftentimes somebody tries to respect it down low. Maybe somebody even goes for the read after your second touch is made. But it's incredibly difficult to defend those. That's not what sets Dark apart. What sets Dark apart for me is the fact that he was always exactly where he needed to be. And despite the fact that I noted that Stockton did have a couple of notable double commits earlier on in this series, Dark was being a part of them at times, but at the same time, Dark always had the play under control. If there was to be no other player as a part of that kind of equation, Dark would still be making that play 10 times out of 10. On defense, racked up 7 saves in the first 2 games alone, which was a big contributor as to why they were able to win game 2 at all. And then on top of that, he had some good moments on offense. He had assists, as you mentioned, the challenges in the midfield. He was everywhere. It's that kind of smart play that really wins games. You can talk about top cheese all you want. You can talk about Bussy all you want for being creative and mechanical players in their own right. But Dark was always there where Stockton needed him to be. And that's what really set him apart on this game. Of course, I have some more to say about that as a whole for Stockton. But all I got to say was, in summary, they made great adaptations, right? They came out playing the normal game that they're used to, which is completely understandable. But Seton Hall, you're not the same piece as normal. So changes need to be made, right? Seton Hall played it intelligently as well. Like I said, there's a lot of good notes that I have for them here. I think that their mental was fantastic throughout that game as well. Kind of fell apart there at the end in Game 5, right? But that's what happens when you get it down to the 2-minute drill and you have to score 2 goals at the 30-second mark. It just gets out of hand.
Well, I mean, we still have so many series ahead of us, but for our next series, it's going to get a little cold. Going to the Great White North, we're going to see how they fare against Akron. Definitely a match you don't want to miss. Of course, I brought up Flag. We'll be taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. Next up is St. Clair versus Akron. We'll be back shortly.
Play it day one with Xbox Game Pass.